Hello and welcome back everyone. This week I look back at a driving game that proved you didn't need to experience Mode 7 to have a fun time with a SNES racer. Top Gear was a game that looks incredibly simplistic and basic, but behind that ugly exterior lay a game that was hugely enjoyable, quite challenging, and best of all, it was fast. And I mean fast. This game moved along at a fair old lick and showed Mega Drive owners that you didn't need blast processing to create a fast racing game. Top Gear is a third-person racing game where players compete across multiple countries, aiming to qualify for successive stages by finishing each race within the top 5 positions. Players can choose between single player or 2-player split-screen modes, varying difficulty levels, and configure various options such as speed display, whether that's in miles per hour or kilometers per hour. At the start, players register a name and choose between manual or automatic transmission. Manual mode requires gear shifting using the controller's shoulder buttons, while automatic mode handles shifting automatically. And of course, these controls are all fully mappable. The game features 4 cars, each with unique handling characteristics, top speeds, and fuel consumption rates. Races take place across 4 course regions, with points awarded based on finishing positions. A cumulative ranking after each set of 4 races determines whether the player advances to the next region. Fuel management is crucial, as running out of fuel ends a race. Players may refuel during pit stops, though this costs valuable time. The game also includes day and night races, as well as hazards such as road obstacles, which can significantly slow players upon collision. And with all of this racing on offer, you don't need to clear time out from your schedule to finish the game, as it comes with an easy to remember password system. As I said, the visuals are quite basic, but not in a terrible way. These visuals do a good job, but by 1992 when this game came out, SNES gamers would have probably expected a little more finesse in their racing visuals. Personally, I think the visuals are just different and out of character for the SNES. They look more like the visuals you find in a Mega Drive racer or a Commodore Amiga racer. In fact, this game looks very similar to the classic Lotus Challenge on the Amiga, which is hardly surprising as Top Gear was developed by Gremlin Graphics. The cars themselves look incredibly goofish, and they don't seem to appear to have any connection to cars from the real world. But that just means it allowed the developers to be more frivolous with their technical specification. The tracks don't offer too much in terms of variety either. With this split screen layout, you don't often get to see much of the backgrounds, especially when the road flows up or down to simulate hills, which is something Mode 7 games couldn't do. So to see this feature on a SNES racing game was great. To simulate the feeling of speed, the tracks all use a raster bar design, and boy does this game shift. especially on Nitro on a downhill section. This was one of the fastest feeling games on the SNES outside of the great F-Zero. Another neat feature is the pit stop. When you enter the pits, you get this overhead look at your car as you sit patiently waiting for the car to refuel, and those few seconds seem to take forever. The sound on this game is absolutely legendary in the gaming community. These tunes are superb and very fast tempoed to suit the high speed action. In fact, I used these tunes in some of my early YouTube videos. I enjoyed them so much. The soundtrack for Top Gear was developed using the capabilities of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System's SPC 700 sound chip, which offered 8 audio channels, an impressive feature for its time. During the early stages of development, the composer experimented with the SNES music driver to explore its potential. Although most of the technical documentation was in Japanese, the data structure was reverse engineered through trial and error. One notable discovery was the SNES's real-time echo effect, made possible by its audio DSP, a feature uncommon in contemporary consoles. However, the effect consumed significant memory, which led to the Top Gear soundtrack using a precise echo of 1/16th note, the maximum length that could be accommodated within the system's limitations. The game's soundtrack, composed by fellow Scot musician Barry Leach, became a defining aspect of its legacy. Leach later recalled that the music was created under a tight production schedule, with some tracks reworked from his earlier compositions for Lotus Turbo Challenge and its sequels due to time constraints. The Vegas track, for example, was one of the first pieces written for Top Gear, featuring Leach's preferred chord progressions and melodic structures, and we thank Barry for his efforts, as the soundtrack on this game has definitely hit a home run for me. The other sound effects of the cars screeching, the nitro boosts, car collisions, they're all sort of stock sounds. They aren't that great, and they're all a little muted, but when the soundtrack is this good, you don't want it messed up with extra fluff. The gameplay is right up there as well with the soundtrack. This was one of the most addictive Super NES games I ever played back in 1992. This was a game I got through the Solid Gold Exchange Club, and I enjoyed it so much, I asked if I could keep it for another month. My SNES mate thought I was a fool. He preferred good visuals over good gameplay, and when he had a go on 2-player, he just moaned about how incredibly basic the game looked. But he was missing the point entirely. This game just showed that fancy visuals can often make a bad game seem good, just like Space Harrier. But I found this game to be pretty much everything you wanted from a racer: fast, challenging and addictive. Over the course of the 2 months of owning this game, I did manage to beat it, and at that time I had quite a few free periods at school, and I would often head home to try and progress in the game. Heck, I even found myself humming these tunes in classes and exams. This game made me realise that there was still life left in the traditional non-3D racer, and I remember thinking back to myself as well that after seeing F-Zero, I thought racers would never be the same again, and Top Gear proved me wrong, happily. Old school games like Top Gear are great. There will be many a distractor such as my SNES mate, or even those from a younger generation who grew up on games like Fortnite, but they will mostly be judging a game by its looks and not how it plays, and I defy anyone to not enjoy Top Gear on the SNES. Unless you are my old SNES mate, obviously. And that was my look back at Top Gear on the SNES. As usual, if you enjoyed this video then please do all the usual like, comment and subscribe malarkey. And a massive thank you to everyone who has done so already. And that's all from me folks. Thanks for watching.